Welcome to Across Africa, our weekly roundup of stories from across the continent. I'm Georgia Calvin-Smith, and coming up, there are concerns that tensions between Fulani herdsmen and farmers in central Nigeria could escalate to the point of rivaling the violence linked to the Boko Haram insurgency. Thousands have died in decades of clashes. Also, he's just 22 years old, but basketball star Cheick Diallo is already an icon for young Malians. France 24 caught up with him on his recent trip back home. And renowned conservationist Jane Goodall heads to Uganda to mark the 20th anniversary of a sanctuary she founded there. She doesn't mince her words in slamming short-sightedness and looking after the planet's welfare. But first, thousands of people have died in long-running feuds between Fulani herdsmen and farmers in Nigeria's Middle Belt. As the violence and insecurity continues to escalate, the fears it could spark instability similar to that caused by the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. France 24's Anna Cunningham reports.
Mourning the dead. These are the graves of 2 priests and their 17 worshippers killed last month in an attack on their church in central Benue State. This growing conflict between farmers and herdsmen has seen increasing violence, protests and deaths.
Things that you know that will happen, and you talk about them, and the powers that seems to be are not bothered. This is what the security forces will be able to handle, to prevent and to stop.
At the core of this conflict is land and water. Herders from the north have for centuries migrated to southern pastures to feed and sell their cattle. In doing so, they've encroached on farmland. Now there's more competition for land as the population grows. Peace and reconciliation is difficult.
If you are going to tell an aggrieved person right now that don't do this, they'll ask you, what of my person who has been killed?
The so-called Middle Belt, where Nigeria's largely Muslim north meets the predominantly Christian south, has been a flashpoint for many years. Religion has been blamed, but it's only a part of the story. Weak security and a lack of prosecutions has fueled the violence. These herdsmen are once again on the move.
We have only ever known this land. This land is also ours. Even if we were to find other pastures, most of us were born here in Benue State. It's unbelievable that people can come here and kill our livestock, burn down our houses, and kill the herders who look after our cattle.
President Muhammadu Buhari was elected in 2015 on a promise to improve security. He now wants a second term. How he handles this conflict could determine whether he gets it.
Now, he's just 22 years old, but basketball player Cheick Diallo is already an icon for young Malians. Diallo is only the second person from his country to play in the NBA. Our correspondents caught up with him on a trip home to see his family in a small town in the southwest.
When Cheick Diallo comes home, it's not just a normal visit. Growing up, his family didn't have much, and his career now supports them. Not bad for a sport he only took up by accident, aged 12.
Everybody be like, oh, t'es grand, you know, I was so tall. So I just decided, my dad talked to me, he said, you know what, there's only one thing can help you, you just need to change your sport. For me, and to help my family. I tried basketball a few times, I didn't like it, and I was like, that's not for me. But my dad sacrificed a lot for me, so I have to do it.
Diallo quickly climbed the ranks. He played in the national youth team before winning a scholarship to the United States. He was just 14 and didn't speak a word of English.
I wasn't worried. He was a man. It was his destiny to travel, whether it was to the US or France. When he left, he got so much, so many things. It helped us too. The house has changed.
The little boy from Cays has certainly grown up. He won the most valuable player at his college in 2015, and now he plays for the New Orleans Pelicans in the NBA. But he's never forgotten his home, and he wants to help others achieve their dreams.
A lot of people here doesn't have a lot of opportunity, but as long as they all see me, I'm trying to be like a great role model for them. It's hard, but as long as I'm doing that, so people look up to me, you know, people be like, oh, wow. It's like doing something for people, so everybody trying to follow my lead. Everybody look up to me like I'm the king, you know.
Many Malians from here emigrate to Europe or North America, dreaming of a better life. Diallo's story has already inspired many.
He's awesome. We all want to be like him. He's a great example to follow. For everyone. For us from Kayes, he's our hero. Honestly, he's a Malian hero. Because to come from Kayes and to leave here and go to the States, I mean, that's a miracle.
Cheick Diallo wants his American dream to live on. He plans a long career in basketball, worthy of one of his own heroes, the great LeBron James.
For Ivorian artist Letitia Kai, hair speaks louder than words. She says that beyond just the unusual medium she works in, she wants her elaborate sculptures to spark conversation.
1-year-old Letitia Key's hair defies gravity. The style she creates are works of art, carefully thought through to carry a message.
I came across an Instagram account that presented photos of African women in tribes. You know, tribal women, it's very visual. The clothing, the jewelry, the hairstyle. I was amazed by the hairstyles. I told myself, my God, how can we do this with hair? I need to try. And I always had an ability to shape the hair or style or braid hair without taking a lesson. I started to test things.
She's become a social media sensation with 800,000 followers on Instagram. But with influence comes responsibility.
When I realized that it was going further and further, that it was affecting women, that I was receiving messages from people who were telling me how they are inspired by me, I became a little more responsible. After that, it was not just for fun anymore. Every time I post something, I try to put a message behind it, continue to inspire and to help the people who follow me.
She says the message is different for each work. This one, for example, was inspired by the movement Me Too. Overall, she believes in celebrating Black beauty.
Douala in Cameroon's Central Africa's biggest port. In a bid to boost the city's image in the hope of attracting more investment, authorities are taking on the task of cleaning up the waters around the economic capital.
The last operation to remove wrecks from the port of Douala took place 33 years ago. It's Central Africa's major port. Landlocked countries like Chad and the Central African Republic depend on it. Cameroonian authorities say the numerous wrecks are damaging to its image and its economy.
The port and the Wuri River are full of wrecks. There are about 100. We decided to start with the most dangerous ones, so the first 25 wrecks that are being dealt with in this phase of the project are those hindering operations at the port.
It should take about 8 months to remove the first 25 wrecks. An Italian company was awarded the contract and is charging €7 million for the operation. These old ships also represent an environmental hazard.
The majority of these boats are more than 50 years old. Yet it was only 20 years ago that we stopped building boats with asbestos, when it was discovered that it was toxic for humans.
Some firms have said port officials are corrupt and overly bureaucratic. In February, one French company said it went bankrupt partly because the port was constantly congested. Local authorities rejected the allegation.
Renowned conservationist Dr. Jane Goodall is asking Uganda's government to do more to protect its primates and their habitat. She recently headed to Uganda to mark the 20th anniversary of a chimpanzee sanctuary she founded there, and she didn't pull her punches in voicing her concerns. Grania Harrington and Tiff Gravel report.
Dr. Jane Goodall has dedicated almost 6 decades to the study and protection of chimpanzees and their habitat. On her visit to Uganda, it's clear her bond with them is as close as ever. Goodall earned international fame in her 20s when she lived amongst chimpanzees in the Tanzanian rainforest. Her groundbreaking study of our closest animal relatives, guided by paleontologist Louis Leakey, led her to be called the woman who redefined man.
At that time, we, humans, were defined as man the toolmaker. And, you know, when Louis announced that I'd seen chimpanzees using tools, Now we have to redefine man, redefine tool, or accept chimpanzees as humans.
At 84 years old, she spends 300 days a year travelling for her conservation work, now mainly focused on teaching children to protect animals and their environment through her Roots and Shoots programme. She says young people tell her they feel their future has been compromised.
I am simply unable to understand some politicians, and they're in many countries now, who don't seem to care about the future for their children, our children. I think they feel they're so powerful, and anyway they're going to be dead. I don't think they've got the ability to imagine what this planet will be like if we continue to destroy the environment.
At the Uganda Wildlife Centre, primatologists socialise chimpanzees that have been rescued from traffickers and poachers. For this younger generation of conservationists, Goodall's encouragement is vital.
We, the young people, we, the people who are going to take over, we get encouraged. Because if our work is being recognized all over the world, that means even us, if we keep pushing, we have more Jane Goodalls, we can save the world.
In this region, the primate's habitat continues to be destroyed at an alarming rate. For the scientist who's devoted her life to protecting this most human of animals, it's now up to all of us not to let them down.
Well, that's it for Across Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.